I've had in Padmaja Naidu, who is Sarojini Naidu's daughter. She's telling me that she's in love with Nehru and she can't get married to him. People will come and see me who are having suicidal thoughts. People who come to see me have tried everything. Reiki, pranic healing, crystal healing, allopathy, homeopathy, everything.
What do you know about your past life?
I have seen 9 past lives.
Oh, you have?
I was working in some fields, poppy fields. And I had my daughter there, who was much younger, but I recognized that she's my daughter. I saw my current life husband and he was drinking. He was not bothered. So I went to the field again and I couldn't trace her. So I went to the owner of the field and I knocked at the door. The owner opened the door. My daughter was inside the house with his wife. And I'm ashamed of what has happened to my daughter, that we jumped from the cliff and we died. That's where I could feel the sensation in the pit of my stomach, which I feel when I have traveling sickness.
How many lifetimes back was this?
This was in 1876. The name of that place was actually Manalsu. Interestingly, my uncle and aunt lived in Manali. So I asked her, that is there a place called Manalsu in Himachal? She said, how do you know this name? I said, tell me. She said, the old name of Manali is Manalsu.
Dr. Tripti Jain, a celebrated past life therapist and a clinical psychologist, became a household name after the popular TV show Raaz Pichle Janam on primetime television.
There are 250 crew members on Raaz. You can talk to anybody and they will tell you that every day they were wondering what's going to happen today.
The recipient of Hira Manik Award for the Best Doctor, she has done over 108 live past life regressions on the show and has appeared on several television channels such as NDTV, Zee, India TV and Aaj Tak.
There was a lady who came to see me, I think 10, 12 years ago. So I don't know what happened to her. And she just told me that there's a presence that she can see behind me.
A TEDx speaker and the recipient of numerous awards, she has devised her own healing modality called Ancestral Spirit Release Therapy to work with Pitru Dosha.
And how much time does the soul spend between 2 births?
If I'm not able to use the power of discernment, I'll be born immediately. Some souls who are quite advanced may come back after 100 years.
So from 1 second to 100 years.
100 years, 200, 300, 1,000. Vishnu has come in how many avatars? Across yugas.
In yoga, there is this insight which says that your subtle body knows 24 hours before you're going to die that you are going to die.
Yes.
Do you have any clinical evidence?
Yes, those who are leaving will give you indication.
Always.
Death is destined.
What about family? Were they related to us in our past life or will they be related to us in our future life? She's a diggaj in this. I am still a amateur. So, मेरे से कुछ होगा, let me do a retake. हाँ, तो ma'am तो will be a pro here. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
I've been a fan of your iconic show Raaz Pichle Janam Ka. I watched almost all episodes. What are some of the most bizarre tales that you might have heard from your clients on whom you did the past life regression or past life therapy?
One of the most bizarre things that happened recently, last year actually, in November, there was this young man who came to see me, and he has this fascination for Shiva. Okay. And he just wanted to probe more about why this fascination for Shiva is. And during the session, he saw himself as a famous emperor whose name was Iltutmish. For people who don't know about Iltutmish, he was the one who completed the Qutub Minar. So this emperor, he was a slave first and then he became an emperor, of course. So he experienced himself as this emperor, Iltutmish, who had destroyed the Mahakal Mandir. In the current lifetime, he's a Bhakt of Shiva.
Oh.
It was an amazing session because he was experiencing this. He was going through the desert because he was traveling from Turkey all the way to India, right? And was passing through that desert area and he was thirsty. And in the session, he asked me for a glass of water. So I gave him a glass of water and then he kept asking me for more water, and you would not believe it. He drank 18 glasses of water in that session, which was for 1.5 hours. And not only that, he was a kinesthetic patient. That means he was moving his hands. He was saying, I'm feeling very thirsty. He was like rocking from side to side with the heat that was there. He was sweating. He was experiencing everything that he would have experienced if he was actually in the desert. So what happens is in past life therapy is that you are there in that memory and you are here in this body at the same time. It's like being in a dream and being sleeping at the same time.
So it's not like your soul exits and goes back to a past.
Where is the soul going to go? It's going to go in your mind. Past means what? Past means in your mind, right? If I ask you, Shloka, where is your mind? Where will you point?
I don't think it can be physically.
So mind is not physical. What is not physical can exist everywhere. So that means the mind is infinite. Anything that is infinite has levels, dimensions, like air. So you have kind of levels of air, right? Kind of atmosphere, the stratosphere, ionosphere. So the mind also has levels, which in psychology is called conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, right? In, let us say, kind of Upanishad, it is called kind of Sthula Sthiti, Sukshma Sthiti, or let's say Swapna Sthiti. Then you have Shushupti Sthiti, which is the deep sleep state, and then you have the Turiya Avastha. So it's the same thing, whether it's psychology, it's Upanishad studies, same thing they are saying. So in this mind is this memory. Consciously, which is what? 7% of your mind, only 7% is the conscious mind, and that conscious mind is only related to what? How much money you have in the bank, what did you eat yesterday, right? What's your husband's name, right? This is your conscious memory, data. But what about the 92% of subconscious memory? Do you know that? When I asked you, do you remember what you were in the womb of your mother? You said no. Imagine, in your current lifetime, you don't know that you were in the womb of your mother. There's no memory. You don't know what you were doing at the age of 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Right? So we have forgotten it. Similarly, if I say that you did have a past life, but you've forgotten it, that's all, right? Now, in this mind is this memory. As we use hypnosis and other various techniques, we're just allowing your consciousness to move into the mind, and the mind is infinite. So, in some area of the mind is this data. And because the facilitator knows how to take you there, you are just traveling in the mind to this memory, opening the memory, seeing the memory, closing the memory.
There could be memories of many past births, right? So how do you know which memory to be activated?
Correct. So you said 84 lakh योनियों के बाद मनुष्य जीवन मिलता है, ऐसे कहा जाता है, ठीक है? So the thing is that when we start the hypnotic session, we are going to give you a suggestion, because hypnosis works on suggestions, right? So I will give you a suggestion. Go back in time to the time when you developed fear of heights. Go back in time to the source from where the fear of heights developed. Or I may say, go back to the very first lifetime where you met your abusive husband. Or I say, go back in time to the most ancient lifetime where you learned, let us say, some skill, occult science. So the suggestion is being given to your consciousness. Now your consciousness is picking up that suggestion. And your consciousness is traveling to that memory. You think you are traveling. It's not you, Shloka. No. The consciousness which has no name, no rupa, no gandha, right? We know that the soul has no body, it has no taste, no smell. None of the 5 senses exist in the soul. So I'm not talking to Shloka who has 5 senses. I'm talking to that consciousness which knows where to go. And your consciousness is pure. It is only going to benefit you. Remember that. Many people ask me, ma'am, suppose I see a past life, which is
dacoit or something.
Yeah, which is violent, or I've done something terrible, then it's going to affect my current lifetime. Never. It can never affect. Why? Because your consciousness will never show you something which will disturb you. It is only there to benefit you, even though it may be violent, Shloka. I had a young girl in Delhi who came to see me. She wanted a divorce from her husband. She said, I don't know, I want a divorce from my husband. I don't like him at all. Now, she saw in her past life that she had killed her husband and the girl that her husband was in love with in that lifetime. In the previous lifetime, this girl saw that the husband was a doctor and he was in love with the nurse. And this wife was so angry and revengeful that she killed both of them. And she threw their bodies in the river. Now, she saw something terrible, right? But after the session, She cried, of course, thinking how what a bad person she is. And I said, darling, you're a bad person then, not today. Now you decide what you want to do. Then she reflected and she said, my husband in this lifetime is a wonderful man. He's nothing like what I saw. I said, so? So she said, he is wanting to redeem himself and I can now give him a chance to do that. And she went back to him. They're happily married today. And this is what happens when past life therapy is done. The truth that you see, just burns away all the toxic thoughts that you seem to be having related to a person. And that's what happened to this girl. So your consciousness will never show you something that will disturb you, ever.
Because I come from the traditional sciences, I come from yoga. If we look at all our scriptures, from the Padma Purana to the Bhagavad Gita to the Vedantic theories, even the Yoga Sutras, they are replete with mentions of rebirth and past life. One particular line says that it takes about 8.4 million births to ultimately attain salvation or moksha. So being actually has to go through all those lifetimes to then attain the ultimate. But what scientific proof do we have that past life exists?
So, science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. So, Ian Stevenson did 2,000 cases of children who recall their past lives. Now, that is a scientific study, right? And also we have to understand that recent theories of, let's say, quantum entanglement are also speaking about one particle in one part of the universe connected to another particle in another part of the universe, effecting change. Even you have the Penrose studies, which speak about the fact that near-death experiences are proof that there is something called the soul. Because when the soul leaves the physical body and the patient is kind of resuscitated, the patient will say, I had a near-death experience. That means the soul returns back in the physical body once the near-death experience is over. And in the Penrose studies, it is mentioned, if the patient does not recover, then the soul is going to search for another body. This is not spoken by a psychologist or a spiritual teacher. It's spoken by a physicist. Recently, we had a conference in actually Ayodhya, which was the first conference in the study of consciousness. And we had people from NASA, people who are researching sleep, who have come there and spoken about consciousness. Right? Patanjali Sutra speaks about Pratiprasad Kriya. That means going back in time. Even in, let's say, psychology, for that matter, if you have to deal with trauma, you have to go back in time to the source of the trauma. So what stops us from believing that the source of the trauma may not be in a memory I'm not conscious about? Source of the trauma can be in a memory that you're not conscious about. If I asked you, do you remember how you felt in the womb of your mother?
No.
But you were in the womb of your mother. Can you say it was false? You were not in the womb of your mother just because you can't remember it? No. So there are many things that we don't remember, and recall does not mean they did not exist. Of course they existed. Let us take the example of Shanti Devi. The first past life recall that happened with this young woman, Shanti Devi, who was a young girl who recalled her past life, the name of her husband, where she lived, and she was taken there. And she identified the place where she had lived. She identified her family members. Not only that, SHLLOKA, she even identified the place where she had buried some gold.
What about family? I have had a certain set of parents, siblings, or whoever, even the husband or the spouse for that matter. Were they related to us in our past life, or will they be related to us in our future life? Because I know of this individual, an enlightened individual. His current wife was his sister in his previous birth. Tell me more about this.
This can happen. Let me first explain to you how we are related and how souls move in their soul group. Okay? I want you to think of concentric circles.
Okay.
Center, then maybe 5-7 circles around. Okay? You are in the center, right? So self is in the center. People who are close to me, my father, mother, brother, sister, maybe they are in the outer circle, just second circle. Then my neighbors in the third, fourth circle. That way the circles are there. Okay. Now, as I live my life, these souls who are in these concentric circles are going to exchange places. Somebody who's close to me in this current lifetime, in my next lifetime, can move in the outer circle. because my lesson is learned with that person. Somebody who was further away from me in the outermost circle, in some lifetime may move closer, because there is something that I have to learn from this person and he decides to come closer. So the thing is, in soul groups, first of all, we keep exchanging places. Ones who are in the outermost circle can come in the innermost circle. Those in the innermost circle can come in the outermost circle. Now you're talking about, let's say, relationships. Somebody is my father today, can be my brother tomorrow. Because whatever I had to learn from my father, who was in the innermost circle, has been finished. But he's still my soul group member. But my learning with him in that intimate relationship of a father-daughter is finished. So he can become my brother. He can become my grandfather. He can become my neighbor. He can become my friend.
Or he may not be related.
Or he may not be there. He may not be related to me. He may be a stranger.
Yes, that happens.
Whom I suddenly meet at the airport. I'm in trouble.
Okay.
Okay. And my bags have got lost. And the stranger arrives from nowhere and helps me with my bags. Maybe he was my father in some lifetime. He's still in my soul group. But he's now a stranger. This is the way we learn from different people. And different people are doing us service as they keep changing their roles. Remember, when you go to see a play, there is an actor in Act 1, not in Act 2. Somebody has come in Act 2, is not in Act 3, and somebody is there in Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3.
Yes.
This is how life is. They say life is also like a school, you know. This earth school is like this. This is what happens.
And how much time does the soul or the being spend between two births?
This is very interesting actually. I have seen people who will tell me I'm born immediately out of revenge. Suppose somebody kills me, okay? And I'm filled with rage and revenge. Will I be able to think?
No.
Will I be able to use my intellect? No. So if I'm not able to use the power of discernment, I'll be born immediately. I won't even know which womb I'm getting into.
Yes.
Because my idea is to get to this person. And that is why you have people who will have such rage and revenge against a person. That person even doesn't know why he's having rage and revenge towards me. Some souls will possibly be born a little later, maybe after 2-3 years. Like suppose I have lost a child and I want this child desperately back. It will take me 1 year or 2 years to get this child back, no? So the soul may return back a little later. And some souls who are quite advanced may come back after 100 years.
Oh.
And some may come like Lord Krishna. When there is pralaya. You know,
so from
Bhagavad
1
Gita,
second to 100 years.
200 years, 200, 300, 1,000. Vishnu has
Two
come
yugas
in,
maybe.
Vishnu has come in how many avatars? Across yugas. So if Lord Vishnu could come in so many avatars across yugas, we are just mortal beings.
Let's say I'm a woman today. Was I a woman in my previous birth and will I be a woman in my future birth?
So gender changes
How?
according to lessons that you have to learn. So I'll give another very interesting example, okay, of a man who came to see me. He did not tell me he was gay.
Okay.
But during the session, he experienced himself as a woman delivering a baby. And he was shouting in pain because somebody was cutting him open. So some C-section was taking place and the baby was being born. And now this baby was stillborn. And now this man was crying. Oh my God, I've lost my baby, right? This experience of his, and then this woman, basically, she said, I never want to ever be a woman again. I never want to experience this pain of losing a child. So that means she's rejected the gender of being a woman. So in this lifetime, the soul has taken a male body because the soul doesn't want to experience a woman's body, because a woman's body means maybe she'll get married, she'll have children, she'll have responsibilities, so many other things, right? So it depends on the lesson and the trauma that you're carrying, which will decide on the gender that you're going to take.
This also reminds me of a very sweet Buddhist story. A lot of monks during Buddha's time longed to connect with Buddha the way the women could. And so a lot of them came back as women in their next birth.
Correct.
What about species? If I'm a human, was I a human in my previous birth? And will I be a human, or can I be, say, a person of another species?
See, your consciousness no, is here only for experience.
Okay.
आपकी चेतना यहाँ क्यों है? Only अनुभव के लिए.
Hmm.
And अनुभव या experience अलग अलग होंगे. अगर मैं एक पक्षी के शरीर में हूँ, अगर I'm in a body of a tiger, अगर मैं एक human body में हूँ, if I'm in a stone, my experience will be different.
Yes.
So हमारी चेतना को क्या चाहिए? Experience. And क्यों उसको experience चाहिए? Because through experiences, the soul will gain knowledge
Okay.
of this Prithvi Loka,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And now the soul is not interested. Oh, मुझे यही करना है, मुझे वही करना है. It's not that. I want various experiences. So I may be a human in my current lifetime, let us say, but I am a violent human. I am an angry person. I am abusive. I am drinking. Okay? Now, this human body has not been given for you to only drink and be abusive and be violent.
Correct.
It's been given for you for a specific reason. Because the human body has intellect.
Yes.
बुद्धिजीवी, है ना? हम किसी पशु को बुद्धिजीवी नहीं कहेंगे, पर व्यक्ति को बुद्धिजीवी जरूर कहेंगे.
True.
क्योंकि आपको बुद्धि दी गई है, इंटेलेक्ट दिया गया है, और आप उसका उपयोग नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो फिर इट इज बेटर कि आप पशु ही बन जाइए. सो इट इज पॉसिबल दैट द सोल इज स्ट्रगलिंग, trying to control the anger, and the soul is not able to exhaust the anger in the human body. So the soul decides to exhaust this anger completely. I better be a lion so that I can exhaust this anger, this basal emotion, because human body में मैं नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. So which body can help me? So animal body.
So all of these decisions are happening unconsciously, right? Because
Unconsciously.
consciously, who would want to become
Unconsciously,
an animal?
absolutely unconsciously. Most important case that ever came to me was of a woman who had piles.
Okay.
She never told me she had piles, okay? It was in a workshop setup, group work, so generally people don't talk about their sickness. In that session, she experienced herself as a tiger. And this tiger was in a jungle, and there was a hunter, and the hunter had bow and arrow, and the arrow went through the tiger's anus, and the tiger bled to death. After the session was over, she narrated this experience, and she said to me, "Ma'am, why did I experience myself as a tiger?" I said, "Do you have piles?" She said, "Yes, ma'am." So what was happening in that past life memory? She's not dead and entering an animal body, Shloka. It is in a past life that she's experiencing a body of an animal to exhaust her disease. That basal anger or whatever that she was carrying, which was locked in her anus, which she needed to release, she went, experienced that body of an animal, released the trauma of the arrow going through the anus, and she healed.
She healed?
Yes. Piles is very chronic. It's very difficult to heal it. But the trauma that she experienced was equally toxic. Maybe the trauma and the toxicity that she was carrying of anger correlated so beautifully that this went here and exhausted it. This is important to understand. आपको किसी पशु जीवन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. कई बार through a past life session only, वो जीवन तो सामने आ गया, correct? In your past life memory, आपने वहाँ पे exhaust कर लिया. There was another young girl. She had a menstrual problem from the age of, since she got her menses at the age of 13 or 14, till she, at the age of 35, when she came to see me, she experienced herself as a fish. After the session, she told me, "Ma'am, मेरा कुछ नहीं होगा. मैंने तो अपने आप को मछली के रूप में देखा. पानी में यहाँ से वहाँ जा रही थी. मेरा तो प्रॉब्लम हील नहीं हो सकता." Even I was a little surprised कि भाई क्या होगा, है ना? After 3 months, she gave me a call and she said, "Ma'am, for the last, 18, 20 years, I have suffered this problem. And this is the first time I have got my menses only for 5 days. Otherwise, I used to get it for 20 days.
And what was the reason?
She didn't know what the reason was. The doctors also didn't know what the reason was. They gave her medication, but nothing happened to her.
But what is the correlation with the fish?
So now that's interesting, okay? I was also wondering, how did this fish help this girl? It didn't make sense to me, okay? Then I thought, where is the uterus and the ovary? In which chakra? Swadhishtan. What is the Swadhishtan chakra related to? Which tattva? Jal, water. So when she experienced herself as a fish in water, the Swadhishtan chakra realigned itself and she healed. Can you imagine how subtle this is? So the chakra system is our spiritual anatomy. Hamara chakra system is actually spiritual anatomy. If you work with the chakras in a manner in which a doctor works with the organs, definitely healing can take place. This was my learning from this patient. How did she heal? I could not understand this. But then I thought, there has to be a reason for this. Then I went to the chakra system. I saw the tattvas of every chakra. Where is the organ based? And I said, oh, the Jala tattva got realigned. Today, it's been years now, maybe 8-9 years. She's absolutely fine. She became a therapist. She learned. Now she's helping others. Yeah.
What do you know about your past life?
During my 30 years of experience, I think I have seen 9 past lives.
Oh, you have?
Yes. I think one lifetime was very significant. I've seen a lot of interesting ones. But one lifetime is interesting for me because maybe people will understand about how we get married to people, you know. So I think that's why I want to say this. Yeah. So it was it was way back 25 years ago when I saw this lifetime. I had what we call traveling sickness. So sitting in a car was a problem for me, aircraft was a problem for me, bus, anything except for train. I could sit in a train. So I had tremendous traveling sickness. My mother realized this when we went by ship from here to East Africa when I was 3 or 4 years old, because in the ship I had a lot of seasickness. And then while we were in East Africa, we did a lot of safaris. So I used to have a lot of sickness at that time. And I also had fear of heights. So these 2 problems I had. I never thought it was related to past life, honestly. I was really a skeptic. But in that session, it was a group session the facilitator took. I lay down and he was giving us some instructions. Now, what I saw was very interesting. If I had to narrate it for people to understand, so the first thing that happened to me was I heard a sound which I'd never heard in my life. I could not relate that sound to anything I'd ever heard. But it kept coming like a clanking sound, you know, something. The second thing I see is I'm wearing a Kulu dress, Kulu Manali. वहाँ पे जो वेशभूषा होती है हिमाचल की, I was wearing, and I've been there, so I know, I could identify that, oh, this is the Kulu Manali में जो हिमाचली dress पहनते हैं. I was wearing that, and I was working in some fields, you know, poppy fields. And I had my daughter there, who was much younger, but I recognized that she's my daughter. Though she looked different, how do I recognize her? By her eyes. The soul lies in the eyes of the beholder.
So it's not just poetic.
It's not poetic.
Literal.
It is literal, yes. I identified her. She's my daughter. Then I went to my house, which is a log hut, and I saw my husband, my current life husband, and he was drinking. And then I went there and I told him, like, you know, our daughter hasn't come back from the fields. Why don't you go and search for her? He was not bothered. So I went to the field again and I couldn't trace her. So I went to the owner of the field and I knocked at the door. Now, there was no electricity at that time. It was the year 1876, but there was a bell. So I, you know, clanged the bell. The owner opened the door. My daughter was inside the house with his wife. I was very upset and very angry. So I had a kukri, you know, with which I was cutting the poppy grass. But at that time, I didn't see the kukri. I saw a gun. Why? Because in my current lifetime, I'm more familiar with gun as a weapon rather than a kukri. How the mind is, okay? It is trying to make you feel comfortable and also giving you information. So I injure this man and I'm like very ashamed of the fact that what was my daughter doing in his house? What will people say? Then, you know, I take my daughter and then we go to a cliff because I'm so shameful of what has happened to my daughter that we jump from the cliff and we die. And that's where I could feel the sensation in the pit of my stomach, which I feel when I have traveling sickness, and the fear of heights.
How many lifetimes back was this?
This was in 1876.
You remember the
Yeah,
exact?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And the best thing,
Yeah.
what happened was the place that I saw, was a name that flashed in my mind, okay? And the name of that place was actually Manalsu. Now, at that time, there was no Google that I could search and find out that is Manalsu a place like that. But interestingly, my uncle and aunt lived in Manali. So they used to come in winter. Asked her, that is there a place called Manalsu in Himachal? She said, how do you know this name? I said, tell me. She said, the old name of Manali is Manalsu.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Hmm.
Now I understood a lot of things because my husband initially when we got married, he was a social drinker and I didn't like it at all. But one day he just decided to give it up. It's been what? Maybe 25 years, he's not had a drop of alcohol. So in that lifetime, he was drinking. In this lifetime, we have come together so that we can have a better relationship. And he can give up his vices. So he's given up smoking, he's given up drinking. Okay? And my daughter, she's come to us back again. So I owe a debt to her. ऋण जो मुझे चुकाना पड़ेगा उस जीवन में. Because of me, my feeling of being ashamed, she died. So in this lifetime, I have to see to it that she survives. So everything fell in place. My equation with my two important people in my life, my fear of heights, my traveling sickness, my attachment to mountains. I love going to the mountains. Chutti hoti hai to I just go to the mountains. So my attachment to going to the mountains, so many things fell in place. And most important, I visited that place later on, the cliff from where I fell. And when I visited that place, I heard that sound, which had come to me in the session. And I asked my aunt, what is the sound? And she said, the mountains, you have water mills. Pahadon mein pani ki chakkiyan hoti hai. I have no idea about this. And the sound also that I had heard became clear. So everything came together. And I went to that cliff from where I had fallen. And I can only tell you that when you go to a validated past life.
Yes.
Okay.
Validated means tested.
Validated means tested,
Yes.
right? The place,
Yes.
the house, everything was the poppy field. I mean, the water, everything I could validate, okay? It is a different experience because you can feel it in your body as if it's going away. Whatever kind of residualness is there of that experience just leaves you. So it's very important to even have validated past lives. You may not validate it like, your name and everything may not come to you, but the name of the village can come to you. The event, like a war, that can be actually validated, that can come to you. Sometimes temples, kind of sites which are, let's say, of forts and temples and historical places, and what happened there in that era, if that is valid, that can come to you. Many people can get some amazing validations. That is important. I personally feel that some validation, if you get, your belief becomes stronger.
Yes. So who is a candidate for past life regression or therapy?
So somebody who has a repetitive problem. That's the first thing I will ask.
It's not
somebody.
for everyone?
No, it's not meant for everybody. No. People who come to see me have tried everything. Reiki, pranic healing, crystal healing, allopathy, homeopathy, everything, okay? Exhausted. Now they feel problems not going. Sometimes through homeopathy, allopathy, problem can go away. Great, wonderful. But if it's not going away, what does the person do? He starts working with any modality which is to do with energy healing, like Reiki. Suppose it doesn't go with that also, then they'll come to you. So anything that is repetitive first, anything that is somewhere disturbing you. If you're coping with it, dealing with the problem, you won't come. But if it's disturbing your relationships, a health issue that's not going away, then you will definitely seek the source of that problem. And third is people who come to see me are those who are at their wits' end. Like all the money is gone. They're suffering from lack. They will definitely come to see me.
So relationship problems, any
So
kind of
relationship,
disease?
people having kind of relationship issues, illnesses which are chronic, let's say migraine, asthma. People will come and see me who are having suicidal thoughts. and they don't know why they're having it. Their life seems to be fine, but I don't know why they're having it. So most people will say, I don't know why this is happening to me, ma'am.
Yeah.
They say that. They want to know the reason. Then, of course, people come to see me investigating death, Shloka. So their son has passed away at the age of 18.
Okay.
Or children, young children have passed away and parents are grieving. And they want to know why my child had to die so early. They need answers. Because nothing can help them.
And this is all linked to their past life?
It's linked to their past life, yes. Why would I lose a child who is 16 years old or 18 years old, absolutely healthy, dreaming of his future? Why would he go away? Does it make sense? It doesn't make any sense. But there is a reason for death also that comes to people early.
Sometimes we say this a particular individual is such a good individual, so benevolent, so kind. But why is their life so traumatic? For example, I think of women getting raped, for example. That's something that I very close to my heart. One really tends to think, kya kiya hoga usne jo usko bhugatna pad raha hai. So you're saying it is all linked in their past life.
See, it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that nothing happens without a reason. Everything happens because of some reason. You don't want to face the reason, it's another matter. But there has to be a reason why you are in pain and you are suffering. Like you said, somebody is a wonderful person doing charity work, okay? But he's having an illness, let us say. And that person says, मैं इतना अच्छा करता हूँ सबके लिए, मेरे साथ ही बुरा क्यों होता है? He'll say like that to you, okay? आपके साथ बुरा इसीलिए हुआ है because आपने कुछ बुरा किया होगा कर्म. बुरे कर्म का नतीजा आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा. And if you understand कि आपने क्या बुरा कर्म किया है, it will free you. I can give you another example of a man, 86-year-old, who came to one of the oldest clients I've ever had. He came to my clinic. He was shaking. I said, Uncle ji, आप कैसे करेंगे session? So he said, नहीं बेटा, मुझे करना ही है. So he lay down. I said, what's your problem? He'd lost his son, 35-year-old son, had a car crash and he died. His fiancée was with him and both of them died on the spot. He said, बेटा इस उम्र में जाके मुझे इतनी तकलीफ क्यों सहनी पड़ रही है? He's telling me, why at this age I have to suffer like this? I want some answers. He was blaming his daughter that maybe she did something for money. Because he couldn't make sense of his life, right? You will not believe this. In a past life, he saw that he was a landlord in a place called Satara.
In Maharashtra.
In Maharashtra. And his son was his wife. And he had a mother. This mother and the wife could not get along. One fine day, the wife consumed poison and killed herself. And he said to me that I'm not bothered about my wife, I'm only bothered about my mother. So I didn't listen to her and now she's killed herself. He came out, Uncle Ji came out of his trance, he started crying and weeping. I said, why are you weeping? He said, it's my fault that my son has gone. In that lifetime, I did not listen to my wife and she killed herself. And in this lifetime also, I did not listen to my son because he wanted to start a business, but I was not giving him the money and look what has happened. This he had not told me before, but he developed insight while he was going through the session that in this lifetime also the same thing has been repeated. And that is why I always tell people, if you have a prarabdha, be aware of it. आपका प्रारब्ध कर्म जो आप लेकर आए हैं, the little potli or the bag that you are carrying in your current lifetime to dry up, better get it dried. Otherwise, you will carry that same bag back to your Sanchit karma. आपका प्रारब्ध सूखेगा नहीं, instead the prarabdha will add to the Sanchit.
Please explain this concept to the viewers.
So let us think of Sanchit karma. What is Sanchit karma? It is called a karma which is accumulated.
Lifetimes.
Lifetimes. Over lifetimes, I've accumulated action which has not been good, action which has been good, all kinds of action will form Sanchit karma. Think of Sanchit karma as an ocean, okay, of karma. When I enter this life in a physical body with a certain script, I will carry some of the Sanchit karma. Think of a little bucket in which I am carrying the Sanchit karma. That bucket is my prarabdha. Now I carry that bucket and I am walking through this life. What is the purpose of carrying this prarabdha? So that I can learn my lessons that I've carried in that bucket. And as I learn my lessons, the water gets sprinkled over, and at the end of my lifetime, my bucket is empty. But as I live my life, I'm doing karya, kriya. It's called kriya man karma. So as I'm doing the karya, somehow I'm not doing the right kriya. My karya, my action, my karma in my current lifetime is not right. So it's adding to the prarabdha. So by the end of this current lifetime, if I'm unaware, my prarabdha is overflowing and it adds to my Sanchita karma. Now the size of the bucket is very important, Shloka. Everybody will not carry the same size of bucket.
True.
Correct?
Yes.
If a soul is refined, purified, has had thousands of lifetimes and has understood the karmic cycle,
Okay.
right? I may come only with a teaspoon. My Sanchit is dried. So my prarabdha is a teaspoon. Right? Let us take Vivekananda, Yogananda, so many wonderful
Crystalline consciousness.
saints, right? Highest consciousness. They have come in a physical body. So some karma they have come with. It's only a teaspoon. But people like us possibly have a bucket size, right? Now there are some souls, Shloka, who are, not mature enough. They say, I'll do it. मैं कर लूंगा. ऐसे कई souls होते हैं, मैं कर लूंगा. They take more than they can digest. So they carry a huge bucket. They are not going to be able to do the work, but not able to listen, not understanding. They carry a big bucket. And that is how they suffer. Because they are not prepared to carry that load of prarabdha, but they are saying, I'll do it. And they come and they suffer. Now, these are the souls that will start doing some charity. They are suffering. But somehow, some awareness has crept into them that, भाई मुझे कुछ करना पड़ेगा, कुछ अच्छा करो, है ना, कुछ पुण्य मुझे कमाना है. तो ये souls है जो पुण्य कमाने के लिए ये सब चीजें करते हैं. They are suffering. They are single. They are not able to get married. They don't have children. Parents have died early. Their money is, kind of drying up. But they are still suffering because their bucket is so much. उनको ज़्यादा charity करनी पड़ेगी. ज़्यादा कुछ पुण्य कर्म के लिए कुछ काम करना पड़ेगा. कुछ करना पड़ेगा उनको. Otherwise, the prarabdha will continue.
So, how does a regular person dry up their karma by getting into charitable work?
You can do many things. You can first be good, speak good, right? First, see, when a person starts on this path of spiritual awareness, the first thing is you work on action. It is the easiest to work upon. Correct? कि आप सुबह अच्छी तरह से उठो, भगवान का नाम लो, अच्छा खाना खाओ, सात्विक गुण अपने अंदर डेवलप करो. ये आसान है करना. Look after your physical body, go for jogging, walking, do yoga, pranayam, have good friends around you. This is action. Most people will start with this. Even the doctor will tell you, eat good food, go for jogging, do exercises, right? Then they'll attend these Zoom classes, they get some knowledge. Then you have to work on emotions. It's difficult. I'm doing everything, but yet I'm having anger. So the second step is you work on emotions. Your what we call Shadripu, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. So work on all this. Then you can work on thoughts. If somebody tells me work on your thoughts first, that person cannot become thoughtless. He cannot become thoughtless. So this is the process of moving into a thoughtless or mindful state. Where you start working on action, then working on emotion, then working on thought, and then entering a mindful sattvic state where you have this feeling that you are a spiritual being. So you start first thinking of yourself as a physical being, doesn't matter. And as you start working, you will move to the process of feeling you are a spiritual being.
So even if my life is, going awry, internally I'll have that inner stability and maturity to deal with it consciously. Am I right?
Yes.
And ensuring that I have a better rebirth, a
Yes,
better
absolutely,
life ahead.
absolutely.
Yes.
Because when you start working at your thought level, it's the subtlest level.
Yes.
Now, when you start working with your thought level, your physical reality will start changing first. Then your swapna sthiti will start changing. You will have a rested sleep. In the morning when you wake up, you have the ability to say God's name because you have rested, right? Your thoughts are also going to be pure and loving, caring, kind words are going to come out of your mouth, right? And this is the path that's going to lead you towards possibly sannyasa in time to come. So this is how I tell all my patients, even after doing past life therapy, I will guide them and tell them that now is the process that you have to take to becoming a more mindful person. Okay, you got your answers.
You've also taken a lot of celebrities through to past life. Could you name a few?
So Shekar, Suman, of course.
Yes.
Selina Jetli, then Renuka Shahane, Shakti Kapoor, many. Chunky Pandey. Yeah.
Any outside of the show?
Yeah, outside of the show, Renuka Shahane.
Okay. Shekar
Kashmira
Suman,
Shah.
I remember, was a part of the show, right?
Shekar was part of the show, yeah. So can Kashmira Shah,
Okay.
Renuka Shahane, many have taken actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it lasted for about 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 seasons.
The show. What did you sort of learn from that phase of your life?
One thing I definitely learned was that you believe you do a lot of things yourself, but it's untrue.
Okay.
That show taught me that I couldn't have regressed 108 people, one after the other, without some help from a higher source. It's not possible for me to do that. And every day, doing 2 sessions, morning and afternoon, morning and afternoon, morning and afternoon, and hardly eating anything because I had to be alert and aware, obviously. And, I could sense a presence with me, helping me to ask these questions. And my physical body would be tired, sitting on that chair and continuously, like getting stressed because they would tell me that, every episode is going to be 8 lakh rupees, so it better go well. I mean, I would say, yeah, okay, because I never met these people before. They came for the first time on the set. So it's 20-25 minutes with that person, and then I have to take that person on the bed and do the session. I'm not giving them any practice or asking them to rehearse, nothing, right? So I would feel that presence.
Each session would take how long?
About 4 hours, 4-5 hours.
One session would take about?
So it would take 3 hours for me to do the session, and then there'd be pre-talk and all that stuff that would happen. But it would be nearly 4-5 hours before I take a little break of half an hour, then do the next session again.
And it would take how long for the individual to enter that state?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah, 25-30 minutes. Then it became lesser and lesser as I got better and better with them. But yeah, I truly believe that no human being, this is not a human feat. This really is a divine presence if you have to work like this.
So do you feel these otherworldly divine presence when you're taking these sessions, even independently?
Yes, I do. Actually, since my dad passed away in 1999, I somehow feel his presence. I felt his presence for a very long time. Now, of course, I don't need to, maybe, but I felt his presence for a very long time. And he's the one who guided me actually towards past life therapy. And while I do the therapy also, sometimes I get blocked. Maybe I get tired or I feel sleepy or, after all, I have a physical body, And then suddenly I'm jolted out of the situation, or I don't know what to ask next. And then I'll feel somebody's telling me that ask this question. Though I'm not thinking of the question, but I can hear that somebody's saying ask this question. And there are times when people will tell me, like, a couple of years back, there were 2 patients who had come to see me at different times. And both of them told me that Sai Baba was showering flowers on me. And I was like, I never even asked them to anything. And both of them told me this. And then I said, okay, Baba, I'm coming to Shirdi, because I got this message from people. So I feel a lot of presences. And sometimes patients themselves will tell me when they come out of trance, they'll tell me that so-and-so is my guide, or they can sense somebody around me. So, there was a lady who came to see me, I think 10-12 years ago. She just got out of the trance and she developed some clairvoyance. I don't know what happened to her. And she just told me that there's a presence that she can see behind me. And I was like, okay, let's not go there. And she said, no, it's very clear to me. She described the presence to me, but I could not relate the presence
like?
to anybody. Yeah, some divine presence is what she said. Now, she then somehow got a photograph of a saint, Mahavatar Babaji, and she came the next time and she got that picture for me. And she said that Mahavatar Babaji is behind you. And after that, there have been many people who told me this, that Babaji is blessing you, Babaji is blessing you. And now recently there was a video that was circulating on YouTube, which people sent me because there was a lady who had come to see me for her session. And she saw Babaji's photo there and her life changed. And she has spoken about the presence of Babaji in that room where she did the session with me. But I believe that, yes, for me, I think it's my father because he is my friend, philosopher and guide. And I have seen his astral self when he passed away. And I know that there is an astral body.
What is an astral body?
So an astral body is sukshma, means subtle body.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just nothing but a subtle body.
Okay.
So somebody who has, let us say, an out of body experience.
Correct.
Out of body means the body ke bahar.
Okay.
Out of the gross body. So when you move out of the gross body, what is moving out? The astral body, the sukshma sharira. Okay, and then the sukshma sharira will look at the physical body and say, oh my God, I'm not in the physical body, and get back into it. Even in your dream, you experience your astral body.
In our dreams, do we also experience past life? Because we
Yes.
have these visions like, why am I seeing this person again and
Yes.
again? I go to a place, I've seen this place before.
Correct. Yes. What is a dream? A dream-
Unfulfilled desires.
No, a dream is happening in your mind only.
Right.
It's not happening somewhere else.
Correct.
Right? So when I go to sleep, you must have
Yes.
experienced this. When you go to sleep, are you aware of your physical body? Most
Some-
of the time.
Yes.
Most of the
Yes.
times, are you aware of your
Yes.
physical body? How your legs are, how your head is the pillow to your left or to your
No.
right?
No.
You're unaware of your
Yeah.
physical body in sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. How much money you have in the bank, you know, when you go to sleep? No. What is your name? Even that you've forgotten.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So your physical body is forgotten. But you are dreaming, means you are not dead, right? Your body is sleeping, not you. Please understand. So now the astral body moves out. See, my consciousness needs a vehicle to travel. Agreed?
Yes.
My consciousness needs a physical body to travel in this material world.
Correct.
But in the astral world, my physical body cannot go. So I need another vehicle. And that vehicle is my astral body. So my swapna sharir is my astral body. Sometimes in your sleep, you're sleeping, you're dreaming, and you're aware that you are dreaming.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
As if you are in two places at the same time.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So who is in two places? Is Shloka in two places at the same time? No. Your consciousness, your soul is in two places at the same time. That means if the soul is in two places at the same time, can it be in multiple places at the same time? Can it be experiencing multiple dimensions at the same time? Yes, it can. If it can experience 2, it can experience 10. That's how the multiverse is. The entire multiverse, as you call it, right? Parallel realities. My soul can experience parallel realities at the same time. So in my sleep, I can experience a past life. Now I'm experiencing my body, I'm experiencing my swapna sharir, and I'm experiencing my past life body. All happening simultaneously. That is why they say the past, the present, and the future is simultaneous. There is nothing like the past. Actually,
Yes.
everything is in the present.
And in yoga, there is this insight which says that your subtle body knows 24 hours before you're going to die that you are going to die. Do you
Yes.
have any clinical evidence?
Yes,
of that?
absolutely. Yes. So just recently in Pune, father who came to see me, his son passed away in a bike accident.
Okay.
And this son, he was provided for everything. Okay, his father was providing him everything: food, shelter, best college, best school, everything was given to this boy. Yet this boy would say, "You're making me beg for it." But that was untrue. It was coming from some sense that he was having, which he could not explain, the child. He kept saying, "I want a bike, I want a bike, I want a bike." The father refused. "I'm not going to give you a bike. I'm not going to buy a bike for you," because this boy used to take the friend's bike and go and drive on the ghats. So the parents said, "No, bike is going to be given to you." But on his 18th birthday, somehow the father gave him a bike, gifted him a bike. And very soon, some time later, he started giving indications to his parents that he is going to go. He would go on the ghats in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, alone, rash driving, Okay. Parents kept getting this indication. He kept saying, एक ही life है मेरी तो I want to enjoy. मैं तो enjoy करूँगा. मम्मी कुछ भी हो जाए मैं तो enjoy करूँगा. उन्होंने बोला बेटा enjoyment का मतलब ये नहीं कि आप risk लो. नहीं मम्मी कुछ नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं, अगर होगा तो होने दो. This kept on happening for nearly about 20-25 days, and post that in the middle of the night he left with his bike. His parents used to always lock the door, the main door in the night, hide the key so he can't take the bike in the night. And that fateful day, they forgot to lock the main door. And he left. His bike crashed and he died. So people can give you indications by the way they speak to you, by the words they speak to you. Sometimes I remember there was a lady, a doctor who came to see me, and speaking about his wife, he was telling me that his wife, before she passed away, that last 1 month, she kept telling her husband, मेरे कबर्ड में इतने सारे कपड़े हटाओ इनको निकालो. And he started giving away the clothes. Then बर्तन थे किचन में, इतने सारे बर्तन क्यों हमने रखे हुए, थोड़े दे दो. And the husband said, what are you doing? Why are you giving? I'm emptying everything before I leave, she said. He said, I didn't pay attention to what she was telling me. But after she passed away, all her words started coming to me. I'm leaving. I'll be leaving soon. और मैं उसको ऐसे ही उड़ा देता था मजाक में. But actually, she left within a month. So those who are leaving will give you indication.
Always.
Always. Some indication will be given to you. You have to be sensitive to what they're saying.
Even if it is an accident or a suicide?
Yes.
I mean, suicide, yeah, but accident?
Yes, they will. They will give you an indication. Like this boy. She kept repeating things that he was not supposed to do. It could have been an indication to his parents that something is going to go wrong. But then that is the prarabdha. Death is destined. आप कितनी भी कोशिश करो, आप मृत्यु का वो पल हटा नहीं सकेंगे. It's not possible.
And where does all this end? Because it's maddening to think now you keep coming back over and over and over again, which is why I actually took yoga, because I got to know of a concept called Mahasamadhi or the motion. I said, I feel old internally. I want to just, go.
Yeah. But if you feel old internally, that's great. Maybe you'll become again Bodhisattva at the gates of heaven or hell, guiding people. You will continue to exist.
Yes, as consciousness.
As consciousness. Maybe not in the physical body, maybe without a physical body.
But that can never go,
but
the consciousness.
That consciousness cannot dissolve.
Yes.
Nothing can dissolve, right? It can reduce its intensity.
Okay.
It can reduce its amplitude.
Okay.
Yeah? You can be just born as a flower that blooms and gives fragrance. That's it. Stillness. But you will exist in some form. Your amplitude and frequency can reduce. You may be formless, but you will exist some way. If I have to ask you, where is the smallpox virus? Is it gone? Extinct? But it's not visible today. It's dormant. So some souls become dormant, like the smallpox virus. Will it come again? Yes. In some time or the other, that virus will become active. Subtle to gross, gross to subtle. That is the transformation. Thought to matter, matter to thought. That's how life is. You will continue to exist in some way. That truth cannot change.
Your show Raaz Pichle Janam Ka, is it going to be back? I really hope it is back in some way.
Well, I don't know. Raaz is not going to be back, obviously, because it was a different channel and, the logistics were different. But we are working on a new show and we've already shot pilots for the show. 4 pilots have been shot and we are waiting for somebody to pick it up the way we want to do it. There are people who will say compromise in unethical ways, because television sometimes has unethical ways also.
Raaz was not staged, right?
Absolutely not. Nothing was staged. I think we had 250 crew members on Raaz. You can talk to anybody and they will tell you that every day they were wondering what's going to happen today. Because even I didn't know what's going to happen to this client who has come. So hopefully this new show will be picked up. We are approaching media houses and let's see what happens. But I'm hoping that this time I want to do a show which is basically English speaking.
It reaches a wider audience.
It reaches a wider audience in the world. And also we include the concepts from our scriptures.
Yes.
because Raaz was a more, like a sensational kind of show. But I think this time I want to include the concepts from our scriptures, from, let's say, Vedanta, from the Bhagavad Gita, and making people understand that our scriptures are science.
Yes.
Science is nothing but coming from scriptures itself.
Absolutely.
I think that, what should I say, an amalgamation of science and spirituality is what I want to do with the next show.
How did your family take to this unique path of yours?
I think I'm basically a clinical psychologist,
Yeah.
right? So I was always working with patients. So it was hypnosis and other clinical modalities that I used to do. And I also work with children. Past life therapy came into my life and I started doing this work. It's not that I told the whole world about it, right? I think what happened was my clinic room became a shrine for me. It was just a place where I used to go and feel the power of prayer. With every client that used to come to me was praying to get better.
Yes.
And I prayed with them. So suddenly prayer entered my life. That's really the biggest thing that happened in my life. And then, of course, everybody is very supportive. My husband is extremely supportive. My daughter is like my flag bearer. And my mom, of course, is very proud of what I did. My only regret is that my dad wasn't there to see it all. But I'm sure he's blessing me with everything. Each one of them that comes to me is actually, I would say, a divine blessing. Because it's only through them that I have learned. All this is not in books. I can't read a book with all this.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
only my clients that keep teaching me, with their experiences and how they get better. I'm amazed and surprised, like that fish, that Deepti, that I mean, like, I was shocked, like, how did a fish make her better? Or like elephant, like somebody experiencing a body of an elephant or a snake. I mean, what is going on? Like, I'm like this, and I'm just looking at that client, like, what is she saying?
And validating.
And validating it that, oh my God, she's actually got better. Like, her problem's gone away.
You've been Googling the...
Yeah, I Google. Like, suppose if I get somebody who's seeing themselves as a famous person.
That's happened?
Yeah,
I
that's
want to know
happened.
about this.
So let us say, what do I say? Let me think of. So yeah, so I've had a few famous people visiting me. I've had, let's say, Shekar Azad, who came, through the client. And I've had Padmaja Naidu, who is Sarojini Naidu's daughter. I had no idea about her history. And now this lady is talking about Padmaja Naidu. And I'm Googling there and I'm asking her the questions because I had no history about Padmaja Naidu. And then she's going through this emotional catharsis that she's telling me that she's in love with Nehru and she can't get married to him. And I don't know any history about Padmaja Naidu. And I'm Googling and I'm asking questions to her. And I'm overawed. What the hell's going on with this lady? And it was amazing. Hammurabi, the Egyptian emperor, and then, of course, Iltutmish, who recently arrived last year. So yeah, I do have these amazing stories that come my way, and I'm like overawed. I'm so amazed at what the hell's going on. So, I mean, why wouldn't I believe that I have lived before? I think if I don't believe in it, then I don't think anybody else.
Yeah.
I can tell anybody else to believe in it, And I know that when a skeptic turns into a believer, the truth is in your face.
You were a skeptic.
I was a skeptic, yeah. So when I turned into a believer, the truth just came into my face that, my dear boy or my dear girl, you are a soul and you're not a body and you're not your mind. You are a soul that's never going to stop coming to this planet and experiencing life after life. So yeah, that's what I believe. Belief in reincarnation is age old. It's not something that's recent. Egyptians used to believe in reincarnation. Greeks used to believe in reincarnation. Socrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras himself has seen his past lives and has spoken about it. Hindus believe in reincarnation. Buddhists believe in reincarnation. So what stops the world from believing that you have lived before? And if you believe in this, your health can get better, your relationships can get better, your purpose of life can open for you. Everybody's asking about, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here?
Yes.
Well, you are here for a reason. If you want to find out the reason, just visit your past life and find out the reason. Your incomplete, unresolved lessons is the reason why you are here. Why not experience it, and move on in your life and make your life better. So that's what I want to tell people. And remove hate and replace it with kindness.
So that you don't come back as an animal.
And so you don't come back as an animal.
That scared me the most.
Yeah, and you actually respect the body that you've got, and you respect the intellect that you have. No? Why can't we respect ourselves? I think past life therapy can help you to respect yourself as a human and develop those divine qualities inside you that can make you a better person.
Yes.
I think that's what I want to tell people. Live better, be better, think better, and just make your life better.
And those individuals who want to follow your path of learning past life regression or therapy, what is the correct way to do it? How should they approach it?
Yeah, so first of all, I think you should be having the intent to go deeper. It should not be a superficial learning. You want to learn more about yourself, not about making money. Of course, you'll earn money, but that should not be the purpose. Commercialism, when it enters any spiritual therapy, loses its shine.
Yes.
So that's what I believe. I believe that all my students, all my wonderful students, that's the thing I teach them. That learn it because you want to make a difference first to yourself, then to your family, and then to your community, and then to the world. Because unless you make a difference to yourself and your family, you cannot make a difference in society. That's the first thing I tell my students. And yes, they should learn it from a proper, qualified professional who has experience, not that who's gone fly by night, done some course and started teaching. I don't believe that's the way to learn. I think any therapist who becomes a teacher should have at least 15 years of experience, should have done at least 2,000 cases. At least. Because only with, like I said, only with clients you will be learning. So if you do one case a month, what are you going to learn? Nothing. So that therapist should have done at least 2,000-3,000 cases, done different types of cases, like people having health issues, people having relationship problems, OCD, so many, right? And then I think the learning should begin. And I truly believe that all teachers who teach past life therapy should give when they teach, should give at least 10 demonstrations.
Okay.
You must demonstrate in front of the client how you are doing a session, because most teachers kind of keep the secret to them.
Okay.
There are certain ways in which we do sessions, right? So some therapists, teachers may just not want to teach them everything. Like they'll say level 1, level 2, level 3, level 10. There are levels and levels. The poor student keeps doing levels. Okay? That's not the way to teach.
Yeah.
Give. Like I always say, give, then you can forgive anything.
Yes.
But start giving.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tripti Jain. It's been wonderful. Since the time I interacted with you over the phone call, you exude so much love, warmth, and are so motherly. Honestly.
It was wonderful.
Thank you so
Really.
much, and it's been
Thank
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskaram.
I hope this podcast has added value to your life. In case you'd like to be a part of our online and in-person yoga, diet and spiritual programs, you can join our WhatsApp group below, where we post all our upcoming programs and give free tips on health, diet and lifestyle.